Toyota is known for making cars that are both luxurious and built to last. And recently they decided to venture into a segment which is already dominated by established players like the Honda City, the Hyundai Verna, Maruti Suzuki Ciaz. So, does their newly launched product, the Toyota Yaris, stand up to the competition? We find out today in this video as we have the CVT version of the car, and we will tell you what is good about this car and what is not so great about the car as well. So, come along. So let's begin with what I liked on the Yaris, and the first thing I have to talk about are the looks. I know a lot of people who do not like how the Yaris looks. They call it a little simple, but I do also know a lot of people who like how the Yaris looks, and I am one of them. In my opinion, the Yaris looks like that gentleman in his suit and tie standing in the corner of the party looking suave and confident because he knows that he is dazzling. The Yaris has very clean lines flowing on the bonnet as well as on the side, and it all finishes in a very elegant looking rear with a nice LED tail lamp. The front also has a lot of elements in this area. This is probably the only part where the designing is a bit aggressive, but otherwise it's very subtle, very calm, and these line guides also add a nice touch to how the car looks. This white color that we have definitely looks very elegant, and the chrome door handles are a neat addition in my opinion. Now this that you see, SRS airbag, there is not just one or two or three airbags on this. There are a total of 7 airbags on the Yaris, and they come as standard, which means even on the base variant you get 7 airbags. That's a lot of safety. Now God forbid if you were to get into an accident and you have people with you, then these airbags will save your life, and it's good to see that Toyota has not skimped on the safety factor of the Yaris. So kudos to Toyota for that. Something that I really enjoy in the Yaris is this very functional touchscreen infotainment system. Apart from being very smooth to touch, it also gets gesture controls, which is a segment first. Now there is a proximity sensor over there, so you put your palm in front of it for like 2 seconds and then it will show you the sign that now the gestures are active. So if I go into the radio, I can do various things like swipe left and it will go left in the channel list. If I go right, it will go scan right in the channel list. I can also increase the volume and also decrease the volume. This is very functional, and if you are driving alone and you want to change the radio station or change the volume, then you can do that without taking your eyes off the road. You can also swipe with 3 fingers. So if you swipe down, it will mute the infotainment system, and you can also swipe with 3 fingers to the right and it will increase the volume. Swiping to the left will decrease the volume. So that's very functional. You can also change the tilt of the screen so that it becomes more visible to you, and then also ultimately open it up completely so that you can insert an SD card right here for navigation, and also a disk insertion area right there, and you can pop the screen back inside. Another thing that you'll be spending a lot of time with is this multi-information display. So you have this Optitron meter which shows you a lot of information, which is very helpful. You get obviously your speed indicator, your RPM gauge, and you have a nice little display here which shows you a lot of things. You also have a tire pressure indicator. So if your tire pressure is low, there will be an indication flashing over there, which it is not right now. A neat addition to this is when you start the car, there is a little animation that plays, and that's again a nice addition. Now you can use this display to show a lot of things like the odometer. You can also use the controls on the steering wheel to toggle between various modes and displays, and that will show you a lot of helpful information, how you have been doing in terms of the fuel efficiency, what sort of units would you like to be displayed, and you can also engage or disengage the eco mode, which changes the driving dynamic of the car. You can also adjust the brightness of this display in case you think that's too bright, then you can obviously toggle that as well. It will also show you things like the distance to empty and your current fuel economy. You can see the date and time as well right here, and if you are in the manual mode, it will also show you your gear position, which is a neat addition. So if I were to go into, so right now it's showing that the car is in neutral. If you put it in reverse, it will show you that it's in reverse, and if you are in manual, then it will show you the manual gears. Now another thing which you will love and appreciate is this roof mounted air conditioning system for the second row. This is not a conventional AC vent, but these are ducts which suck in air from the cabin and then they throw it at you, and you have these louvers to control the direction in which the air comes out, so you can have it pointing straight towards your face or your body, and that's really helpful. It's better than AC vents that are situated on the console, because they're down and they generally end up cooling your calf or knees, not the rest of your body. So this is quite helpful, and you can control the fan speed, and you can also have ambient lighting, which is a nice little touch in my opinion. You have a decent amount of space in the second row of the Yaris, but what makes it better is this flat flooring. So you can easily have someone sitting in the middle, maybe a child, and not have to worry about a tunnel in there. So it's a flat floor, you can easily keep your legs. Another likable thing about the Yaris is its key fob. Now the Yaris gets keyless entry, and this key fob is quite simplistic and minimalistic. It gets 3 switches to lock the car, to unlock the car, and to unlock the boot. The contrast really makes it easy to operate this key fob, and you can easily identify the icons. The Yaris, in my opinion, is definitely a driver's car. Not every driver's car, but it is a driver's car. If you are someone who would like their car to gun it at the drop of a hat, well then maybe you will be a little disappointed. But in case if you are looking for a drive that is very mature, that is very refined, then this 1.5 litre petrol engine will not disappoint you at all. It produces about 105 horsepower and 140 Newton meters of torque. These might not be class leading figures, but they definitely are good enough for the city. You get a lot of refinement from this engine, and Toyota's work truly shows in it. There is no diesel variant as of now, it's just a petrol engine, and this also is quite powerful when you need it to be. You can punch this engine, but it also has the ability, it has the refinement that it can take you through waves and waves of traffic without stressing you out, especially thanks to the very smooth 7-step CVT transmission. And then you can obviously shift it in the manual mode as well. You have a gear lever, and in the top end models like we have, you also get paddle shifts. Even at higher speeds, triple digit speeds, this car feels very planted, and that's always a nice plus point. So we are driving on a relatively rocky terrain, and it's terrains like these which will make you realize that the suspension on the Yaris is actually quite a delight, because you do not feel many of those undulations filtering into the cabin. You get quite a smooth ride, and especially if you are someone who's being driven around, you will admire that character a lot more. So this is a very good suspension for cities which are full of potholes, broken patches, scraped patches of land, and just all sorts of undulations. So the Yaris gets disc brakes on the front wheel, but it also has disc brakes on the rear wheels, which means you get disc brakes on all 4 wheels, and that means this car has a lot of braking power. The brakes are nice and progressive as well, and in the city where you have idiots jumping in front of your car all the time, these brakes will come in really handy, and you get plenty of stopping power. So starting with the things that did not sit too well with me with the Yaris, the ORVMs. Now these do not automatically open up or fold when you start or stop the car. So right now, if I were to start the car, the ORVMs do not open. Instead, what I have to do is press a button here, and that is when the ORVMs will open and again a button to fold them back in. So if they were automatic, it would have really been really helpful and added a nice layer of sophistication to the car. Now moving forward, once you are inside the car and you strap in, which you should always, and you're about to drive off, you'll notice that there is no dead pedal. All you have is a sort of lump or bump in there, and that's not very convenient. A lot of people might not mind it and they might just put their feet like this or like this, but that is not a good driving habit, because if you do that, then there is a chance that when you are turning the steering wheel, you might hit your knee and that might get into your driving. So a dead pedal would have been appreciated for sure. Next thing on the list, the Yaris gets a steering wheel which is adjustable for tilt but not for reach, and if Toyota had added that functionality, it would have really been nice and added a nice level of customization on the Yaris. Probably my last gripe with the first row of the Yaris would be the armrest. Now this armrest is not adjustable for its position. It's fixed in one position, and that is a little too far behind, which means that while you're driving, you generally expect the armrest to be somewhere in this area, which in this case it's not. So you have to get used to putting your hand a little behind your back to settle it on the armrest. Now the problem of the armrest stretches into the second row as well, as it protrudes quite a bit in the second row. So if you have someone seated in the middle, despite the flat floor, it can be a bit of inconvenience as your legs might hit. So if this was once again pushed a little further into the first row, then the problem would have been solved. Now lastly, if you are someone who is tall, basically 5'10" and taller, then the headroom could be a bit of a bother for you in the second row of the Yaris. I am 6 feet tall, and right now I am sitting in sort of a hunched position, but if I were to sit upright properly, then you see my head is hitting the roof and my neck is still bent. So if you are tall, then the headroom is a bit of an issue, but if you are 5'10" or below, then you can manage. If you regularly load and unload things in the boot, then there is one thing which you might not like. It is the fact that you cannot open the boot without the key or without unlocking it from the front. Now I agree that this is a nice safety feature so that just about anyone cannot access the boot, but sometimes when you are in a hurry, it can be inconvenient. So as stated before, this engine comes mated to a CVT transmission, and that means that you'll have some CVT noise, especially when you are punching it. So that noise definitely seeps into the cabin. Now depending on what you like and what you do not like, you might love the sound. Some people like that the engine noise comes into the cabin, gives a really nice feel that you're actually driving a fast car. But some people just don't like it. They want a silent cabin. So you have to be mindful of that. Whether you like it or not is completely up to you. From our experience, we gather that this car packs in quite a lot of goodies. It does also, however, miss on some things, and some things were a little off. And if they are tackled, or if those goodies were there, then this would have given the car a definite edge over the competition. Coming to the price of the car, you have to pay Rs 8.75 lakh ex-showroom Delhi for the base variant, which comes with a manual transmission. This, however, is the CVT VX variant, which will cost you 14.07 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi. Now, I agree that it is a bit more than what the competition is offering their products for, but then the confidence you get while driving a car that has 7 airbags as standard, the disc brakes on all 4 wheels, kind of make it worth the price for me. Also, I really like the driving dynamics of this car, especially when you are in the city. As always, lovely people, if you like this video, do hit the like button, Comment if you have any questions, subscribe and follow our channel, our socials, and until the next time, this is Akash signing off. Bye bye.